Well, I want to thank you for being here. I've been teaching this for a while now, and again, some of the things I'm going to share with you, I think not only may change the way you market your practice, I think it could change the way, I could change your life as well. The main reason is because if you follow some of the things that I'm going to teach you today, I think you're going to start attracting the types of patients that you want to see. But here's a big message for today. When it comes to your marketing, and I would write this down, this is important, there is no such thing as failure. There are only results. And can anybody tell me what the top 3 results you should be measuring are? Just to give you a hint, Mark talked about some of them in his class, I think it was yesterday. Here's my 3 favorites: cost per call, cost per appointment, and total sales. Cost per call, cost per appointment, and total sales. And as Mark talked about, I wouldn't rely on the human element to track. Because I did I don't know how long ago was it, Mark? It was like 10 years ago. I did 14 front desk trainings in 14 different cities. And there was about 100 front desk managers in each of those classes. And the first question I asked them was, how many of you have to actually plug in a lead source before you can actually make an appointment? Every single person, every single class raised their hand. Then I asked, how many of you might have forgotten once or twice to actually ask, how'd you hear about us? And then you had to kind of fib and then put something in there that wasn't actually correct. Every single person, every single class raised their hand. So if you're not using call tracking, that's really the only way you can get your true cost per call, cost per appointment. So why is it so hard to attract the types of people that we want to see? We all know these things are happening out there. They're afraid to get hearing aids. Or how many of you ever feel like on certain days that you are dealing with a problem that nobody seems to have, and you're selling something that nobody really wants? You ever had a day like that? So when you have that issue, it gets very hard to attract people to your clinic. And my experience has been some of the typical things that used to work 20 years ago. How many of you have been doing this more than 20 years? How many of you don't want to raise your hand and tell anybody? So I'm going to try to teach you today something that's a little different. What we want to try to do is use some of the new tools that are available to position yourself as the local go-to expert. Almost to the point where people would be a complete idiot to go anywhere else. If you position yourself as a local go-to expert, people will trust you more. They will follow your advice, and they will send their family and friends to your practice. So to get started, I get questions all the time when people call me, Kevin, what's like the number one thing that I should be doing in marketing? Or what ads are working for you right now? How many of you have ever asked a rep, a guy like myself, somebody else in the profession, what's working for you right now? We're all looking for that silver bullet, the magic pill. But marketing, there's no such thing as a magic pill. Unless it was that wanted 30 people ad, that seemed to work pretty consistently. How many of you hate that ad? But it worked. One of the things I want to try to teach you today is that marketing is just like medicine. It's a science. If you approach it with some of the things I'm going to share, then you can start a scientific approach to marketing. You can look at your data, figure out a little bit more about your market, change some of your tactics, and profit. So the first thing we're going to talk about is diagnosing your situation, looking very closely at your market and who you want to be and who you want to market to. How many of you have figured out now that you can't be everything to everyone? Consistently use what I consider the 3 most important proven patient attraction strategies that are out there, and then use a 1-page, 12-month marketing plan. So diagnosing your marketing situation. So those of you who have figured out that you can't be everything to everyone, you have to figure out the type of patient that you want to see. If we had a little bit more time today, you can do this a little later, I would get with you and your team when you get back and say, what's the type of patient that we want to see? Who's the best patient that we see on a daily basis? Who is it that we see on our calendar each day and we actually look forward to the appointment? Not the person that's on our calendar for that day that we say, oh, God, not again. Or how many of you have ever had a slow month and there's a person that you know you shouldn't fit with hearing aids, but you do anyway? And then 6 weeks later when he returns his hearing aids, you're like, oh, thank God. I don't have to see him again. So what we want to do is try to attract the people that you want to see, not the people that you don't. And some of the best people that I've seen do this across the country are the ones who get really specific about the types of patients they want to see. I know a $3 million a year practice out pretty close to here, and he decided he was going to market to 55 to 65-year-old women because in his opinion, they made the majority of the medical decisions in families, and so he geared all his marketing, his whole approach, outside and in, to attracting those types of patients. And he's grown 10 to 20% every year. But here are some other questions that you can ask yourself. What's the size of my market? A lot of people will go open up a hearing practice in a town where there's nobody else there because they think that it's underserved. But make sure you check the demographics to find out maybe it's not underserved, maybe there's just nobody there. So be careful. How many competitors do I have? I don't think you should take a reactive approach to marketing. I don't think you should have a plan and you should follow it. Reactive could be, oh gosh, my competitor just ran a full page ad, I need to do it. Or when the rep comes in and says, hey, do you want to do an ad? I'll co-op it for you. Yeah, sure, why not? And then they send you something and we really don't know how to look at the ad and decide, okay, is this ad right for me? Does it have the 4 elements that should be on every ad before it goes out of my office, which I'll share with you in a minute. So hopefully by the end of today, with my short time, you'll be able to look at an ad and say, okay, there's 3 things missing, I need to change it. What types of marketing has been working, what types of marketing haven't? And then my biggest one for the year, my biggest surprise of the year is how many online reviews do I have compared to my competition? Because that I've seen take a lot of people from doing okay to growing 20 or 30%. So the fatal marketing mistake that I see most people make is that they assume that they're marketing to themselves. I hear things like, oh, I don't really like that website. Okay, well, it's converting at 2.5 times your old website was, but if you want to change it back, we can. So just don't assume that you're marketing to yourself because you can get yourself in trouble. All right, so here they are. Online marketing, database marketing, and referral marketing. When it comes to online marketing, the first phase is what we call a direct response website. Somehow we got away from looking at actual data on how a website is performing. Can anybody tell me what the #1 goal of any website should be? Want to take a guess? What's that? A phone call, very good. It's to generate a new call from a potential new patient. It's to build trust, show the patient that you care, and show them that you're not just after the sales, but that they trust you enough on that website to pick up the phone and call you. So one of the things you want to measure on your direct response website is your conversion rate. How many % of the visitors that visit your website actually result in a phone call and an appointment? And you can learn a lot. And just a tip, it may not be something that you like. A website optimized for search engines. If you're not showing up on the search engines, patients can't find you that are doing research. How many of you have had some type of medical issue pop up in the last 5 years with either you or a family member or a loved one? Very healthy group, okay. They didn't say I was going to ask questions, did they? But when you were researching that, did you get online or did you just call your neighbors and friends and say, what do you think I should do? Most of us are getting online. When I started my company 10 years ago, it still amazes me. Back then they were like, look, Kevin, I don't know what you're doing, but I think you've kind of lost your mind. Our patients aren't online and they never will be. And now everybody's online, right? Expert content, videos, and articles. If you're going to have a presence online, you do have to position yourself as the expert, so I highly recommend using good good content. That means articles that you're writing. And content can be a lot of different versions, so you might have videos. For those of you who want a quick video strategy, just come up with the top 10 questions that patients ask you on a daily basis and shoot a 1 to 3 minute video for each of those questions. And then encourage them to go back to your website to get access to the other 9 questions so they have all the information that they need and frankly deserve. Another idea for 10 more videos is to shoot 1 video on the questions, or 10 questions that patients actually should be asking. And if you do those questions right, if they answer those, or they ask those questions of any competitor of yours, they'll pick you each and every time. So there's 20 video ideas for you right there. And Google saves a couple of spots on the search engine results pages for video. Online reviews. If I can think of one thing that you take away from today, it's get more online reviews for your business. We launched some tools to help people get reviews recently, and what happened was people were getting 30 or 40 Google reviews, and then we could actually relate how many Google reviews someone had to their revenue growth for this year. When you get above 20 Google reviews, most people are growing anywhere from 10 to 30%. Not only that, but they're getting better results from all their marketing. It was fascinating. It's been my biggest surprise of the year. And then you can also help reduce cost concerns, and I'm not just saying that because I'm here for these guys. I really believe in what Care Credit's doing, Synchrony, excuse me, what they're doing, because if you advertise it, you'll be addressing one of their biggest concerns, which is price. And I know when I introduce patient financing in a practice, I'll grow that practice $10,000, $20,000 a month just from that. If they start advertising it, it's usually closer to the high-end number I just gave you. Database marketing. We're so scared to market to our database. How many of you have do 1 or 2 database marketing events a year? I would highly recommend you do it a little bit more. Some of my clinics that didn't think they could grow anymore, the one thing that we changed was we just started marketing their database every other month, and we grew 10%. You can think of somebody in Minnesota, we just went over his numbers for last year. He's like, well, I still can't believe they keep working every other month, so I guess I'm just going to keep doing it until it doesn't work. And then I still recommend 6 or 8 open houses, special events, consumer seminars a year to get a little bit more exposure for your practice. And then what is the quickest way to double your practice right now today? Anybody? It's to get 1 referral from every patient that you currently see. So the question you have to ask yourself, and I won't make you raise your hands on this one, is how many people did you ask last week for a referral? How many people did you and your team last week ask for a review? If you're not doing it consistently, you're leaving money on the table. Has anybody ever taught you guys the 5-step process on how to ask for a referral? You want me to take a minute and teach you? You guys are ready to go to the beach, I can tell. So there's 5 steps, and if you want, I'll email you. I'll give you my email. I'll email you a little 6-page document that goes over this in great detail so you don't have to rush and take notes. So step 1 is get them talking positive about something that they love about you, the practice, or the hearing aids you fit them with. Mr. Jones, what do you like best about the hearing aids, me, the practice? They're going to say something positive, and then that's when you say step 2, which is, wow, that's great. You know, we're trying to do a better job of growing our practice, and patients love to hear stories like that, so I was wondering if you could do me a small favor. So after you get them talking positive about something, you ask for a small favor. Most people will hand out 4 or 5 business cards and say, well, if you can think of anybody that could benefit from our services, please let them know. I want to teach you a little different strategy. What I would say is, can you think of one person, just one person that could benefit from what we do? And you might have to sit there and wait for them to think and give you a name, and then that's where most people stop. Step 4 is ask for a personal introduction. Can you send an email? I'll give you the email if you want. In the little document I'll send you, there's actually some sample emails or text messages you can have the patient send on your behalf to let them know that you'll be calling. And then once you do get the referral, step 5 is simply thank them for the referral. I've taught this all over the world now, and I just got a call from somebody that I did a talk in Norway in June, sacrificing myself for the good of the company once again. But I got a call recently of somebody that said, look, we've had 4 customers call us, and they've got more referrals this year than they ever had just following your process. I promise you it'll work if you use it right and do it consistently. So are some of the things I just talked about magic pills, or asking for referrals? Is it doing database marketing more consistent than some of your competitors, or maybe more consistent than you have in the past? Or online marketing, anything new? Not really. But to do those things, if you have to do them, you have to do them consistently, and you have to do them a lot, and you have to do it right. So a lot of times you have to pick the right partners, or you have to hire the right person inside your clinic. So when we put together marketing plans for some of our customers, and there's a lot of, I've learned this from other professions as well, even Honda, until recently I think, I had a buddy of mine who worked his way up from mowing the grass 37 years ago to a senior vice president. Honda, even if they have a $20 billion division, has to write their business plan on 1 page for the year. And so when you put together your 1-page marketing plan, you want to have the things that you're trying to do, like online reviews, your digital marketing strategy, database marketing, how often you're going to ask for patient referrals, and how good a job you're going to do at getting out and trying to get more physician referrals as well. And you want to look at your secondary marketing strategy, which I wouldn't leave out, which is direct mail and newspaper. Mark and I were visiting. We might have been at the bar the other night. I think that's where we were. And he just said, you know, we've been playing with the newspaper, and we found this great way to advertise in the newspaper that actually gets us some results. The main reason newspaper and direct mail doesn't work is a lot of times we just run an ad, we don't know what elements to look for that should be in that ad, and then we just immediately blame the medium. And another takeaway for today is don't blame the medium, blame the messaging first. You've got to look, do I have some of the things that need to be in every ad to make it successful? And I wish I had a little bit more time for questions, so I'm just going to tell you. There's 4 elements that should be on every single ad that goes out of your office. Number 1 is a catchy headline. Number 2 is some sort of irresistible offer. Please don't misunderstand. I'm not telling you to do 2-for-1s or $500 off. You just have to have some offer that motivates them to do something. The third thing that you need is a very clear call to action with a deadline. And the fourth thing you need is social proof with either testimonials or reviews from the internet. And what you can do is if you start looking at your cost per call, your cost per appointment, compared to those 4 elements, then you can start taking a scientific approach to your marketing. You can start changing one element. I've seen elements like a catchy headline changed. Same ad, same newspaper, all we did was change the headline, 20% better results. Or the cost per call went down $100. If you do this with your cost per call, cost per appointment, that's how you start taking a more scientific approach to your advertising. And you can do the same thing online. You can do the same thing with your database mailers. You can even play around with your scripts when it comes to asking for referrals and also asking for online reviews. But that's how you turn marketing into a scientific approach. And then finally, what you want to do is you want to measure, monitor, and adjust. One of the hardest things that I think all of us struggle with is our ability to change the way we do things. How many of you have maybe kind of sort of struggled with change at one point in your life or another? You want me to tell you what we're up against? 9 out of 10 people would rather die than change. How do we know that? It's a medical. Heart attack victims, they have their first heart attack, they're like, look, you got to change things or you're going to die. And most people don't. Okay, so summarize everything. 3 top strategies I've learned this year are your online marketing done right. That's a website, pay-per-click, online reviews, and search engine optimizations. Those are the 4 search engine optimization. Those are the 4 things you should be doing. Database marketing. Don't just do it once or twice a year. Try it every other month. Our biggest fear is that our patients are going to get really mad. We had one person, we just sent out a mailer. We did $180,000 off the mailer over 3 months. First one, we had a huge response, and he's like, wow, that was really good. I can't wait to do it next year. I was like, no, let's do it again next month. I can't do it next month. So we did it again. He did about half of what he did the first mailer. And I said, well, let's do it again in another month. He's like, no, I can't do it in another month. So we did it a little differently, though. We put final notice on the outside of the envelope. And he called me. He's like, Kevin, I got to tell you what happened. I had 3 patients call me and say, I never got your first 2. So don't be afraid to market a little bit more. If you do get a complaint from a patient, it's probably not the type of person you want to see anyway. Change your approach and try new strategies. Marketing, again, there's no such thing as failure. There are only results. If you want better results, make a change. And then finally, make sure that you measure, monitor, and adjust. And I can't believe I'm actually on time for the first time in my life. Here's my contact information. I am going to offer you guys, we do have a free report out. You can go to medpb.com/report. And then if you have any questions or you want a little bit more information on what we talked about today, please send me an email. Thank you.